Hi, fam. It's been a while. It's been a while. I have been, as many of you know, going through a lot of health stuff, and I'm really glad to be back here in this space with you. Today, I really wanted to talk about my own personal experience with symptom tracking because it's something that I teach about inside my programs. Hypermobile Hands Blueprint enrollment's coming up soon for you. In a few weeks, it's going to be open. Make sure you check the link in my bio for that wait list if you want to save a lot of money and be the first one to be able to join. I teach about this a lot, like symptom tracking and looking at your triggers and stuff and being aware of your current situation with your hands. And I feel like I've mastered my hands. It's this dysautonomia, tachycardia, pretty sure POTS symptoms that I've been really starting to struggle with. And the outpouring of love that I've received from this community has truly been overwhelming. That reel that I posted about for EDS Awareness Month, every single comment that I read made me cry, happy tears. I've been crying a lot these days, y'all. And I think crying is part of my healing process, as I come to just sort of accept this reality. But one of the things that has been on my mind a lot that I thought that I just would share with you, because I think it would be helpful for you to start thinking about this too, is symptom tracking without feeling like a victim. I think lately I've been having a hard time with this balance. There's for me, there's a fine line between symptom tracking and then me perseverating on my symptoms, adopting my symptoms as my only identity, right? Have you ever been there before? Stressing out about my symptoms and oh my God, oh, my heart rate just increased to the 140s or 150s, and then that makes my symptoms worse. Or for you, maybe, if we're talking about hand coaching, right? You're all here because you have hand pain or some sort of condition affecting your hands. I often talk about tracking your hand pain and what your hand triggers are for your hand pain. But oftentimes it's helpful to know. It's helpful to know what your symptoms are. But then it can feel really hard as you perseverate on it and as you become more aware of it. Sometimes it's hard to not go down a rabbit hole and to almost adopt a victim mentality. So it is important to be aware, right? We have to know what's triggering our symptoms. But there's comes a point where we know what our triggers are. And so we can put the Apple Watch heart rate tracker app away. Or for you, maybe you're tracking your hand pain on a notepad and just put the pen down. And sometimes it's helpful to just stop tracking. Because as I'm gathering data for my doctor's appointments coming up, I have just been so focused on it that I feel it really makes it worse. Have you ever been there before with whether you have dysautonomia like me or maybe you have chronic pain? Symptom tracking is so helpful, but there comes a point where you've got your patterns, you know exactly, where your pain is, what is causing your pain, and how it feels. And then it's just okay, that is enough, let's just think about something else, because it's so easy to get into a loop where you're stressing about your symptoms or you're freaking out about it. It's the only thing that you're thinking about. It's your identity, right? And I have to feel for me, I have to feel settled, knowing that I've done my very best to track my symptoms. And now I'm just going to trust myself that at the doctor's appointment, or for you, maybe if you're in one of my programs and you're tracking your symptoms, you've got to trust yourself that your pain and it's okay to stop tracking it at some point, that you know enough and you've gathered enough data about yourself that you can advocate for yourself at your next appointment. Or maybe, you know enough about your hand flare, so now you can like advocate yourself in terms of like getting a gadget that you need or getting a brace that you need, without perseverating on it so much that you start like adopting a victim mentality or making it the only thing that you think about. I mean, I've been there so much the past few weeks. I really have. And I just can tell that it like makes my symptoms worse, but it can be hard to get out of. I see someone here says, I have RA, totally understand. Yes, Nora. Yeah, it sounds like you've been there too. And it's hard. And I think we have to like recognize that stressing out about our symptoms and focusing on it a lot is not helpful, but also give ourselves grace, right? Like don't blame ourselves when it's happening. Don't blame yourself when you get caught in that loop. I'm trying to just kind of like notice it and then shift. And some of the things that have been helping me shift are things that I've been learning about inside the Self-Healers Circle. I don't know if y'all follow Nicole, Dr. Nicole, the holistic psychologist is her Instagram handle. But she's incredible. Like her membership is so worth it. I think it's closed now. I think they open their membership like 3 times a year. But there's just like a wealth of knowledge and information in there about like how to, yes, Nora, like notice it, like notice your thoughts, notice what's going on like in your body and how it's feeling as you're spiraling, and then just like simply shift. So notice and shift. And notice without judgment. Right? Like we have to notice. We have to notice our symptoms. We have to notice our pain. But then we can kind of shift out of that. So some of the things that have been helping me shift out of that Dr. Nicole has taught me inside this membership is just really bringing myself like out of my spiraling head back down into my body. And so the things that help me and can help you feel like you're back in your body are literally like noticing, like, what am I seeing right now? Oh, I'm seeing my gray wall that has like speckles of like paint splatter on it. Or I'm seeing the sunlight on the bush over there. What am I hearing? I'm hearing a bird chirping in the distance. When I go like this, I'm hearing my ring splints against each other. What am I feeling? What are you feeling? Maybe you're feeling the surface of the chair that you're sitting on. I am. Bring your awareness into that, into how it feels to have your body sitting against the surface. I'm also feeling the kinesio tape on my hand. It feels really good. And the support of my ring splints. Maybe you can think about what you're smelling, if you're smelling anything. I'm not smelling anything, but maybe you're smelling your lunch or your perfume or your lotion. And if you are eating, what are you tasting? So bringing yourself back into your body as you start to spiral and go in that negative loop, that negative like freak out loop. Oh my God, my symptoms are worsening. I take a deep breath and I try to focus on the present moment. And for me, this is also so important as I'm parenting as well. Trying to be more present with my little ones. I have 3 kids. They're 5, almost 4, and 2. And parenting throughout this journey of like dysautonomia over the past few months has been a challenge because they require like a lot of positional changes, lots of up and down and all around. Often my biggest triggers are the mornings. And so this morning I was actually, the reason why I've decided to come here and talk to you today about this is because this morning I literally, every morning is so stressful for me. Before the kids wake up, I'm like, this is going to trigger all my symptoms. Like before it even happens, I'm already like making this my reality. And so this morning I was just like, no, like this is not my reality. Like, okay, this is my reality, right? I'm not going to deny my reality, but I'm also going to do X, Y, and Z. And I focus on the things that I could control and that I could do instead of focusing on my symptoms spiraling. So it's actually really helpful this morning. Some other things that I'm working on that are helping me, instead of perseverating on my symptoms and laying on the sofa all day, because I could totally do that. And I have had days where I've done that mostly. I tried to just do something that would be like fun or silly for me. Maybe I'm laying on the sofa singing, or maybe if I'm feeling it, I'm dancing a little bit, or maybe I decide to just get really involved with like whatever my kids are playing, but like focusing on that thing, like focusing on the silly thing or the fun thing, kind of like going back into that. Another thing that I really want to do, and I was a show choir girl. I was like a choir girl from like, I don't know, 5 until I graduated high school. And I have a decent voice. Like it's not like American Idol style or anything like that, but I like to sing. I really enjoy singing, and I've missed that. And one of my friends just invited me to join the Richmond Choir or something, Richmond Women's Choir. I don't know. It's like barbershop a cappella style stuff where they sing oldies. They're my jam. And so I'm really considering joining that, because when you do things that are fun for you, that get you in this flow state, whether it's painting or drawing or singing or knitting with modifications for your hands as needed, wearing the proper supports for your hands as needed, when you can enter a flow state, that can also greatly help your symptoms. So those are all things that don't involve symptom tracking, but are absolutely crucial for my health and my mental health, and therefore I truly believe that they can also help reduce my symptoms. That's pretty much all the notes that I jotted down this morning, because I was kind of proud of myself. Like I feel like I achieved a much more zen state this morning. I mean, there were moments where my heart rate was going crazy and I started feeling really anxious, but instead of focusing on that, I was able to sort of rein it in. And so I just really wanted to process it here with you, but also share with you, and hopefully you found this helpful too. I have a question about hypermobility. And today I'm not answering questions about your hands, but I can take a look at it. It says, "Hi, I've found out my fingers have gotten more flexible over time. Is that normal?" Maybe. It definitely depends on the person. Having increased hypermobility, like in your hands, is common if you're a menstruating female or a menstruating human. Sometimes leading up to your period and even on your period, your hormones can get like just out of whack a little. Not out of whack, but the hormones that are strongest during that cycle as you menstruate can make you feel more lax. But then usually once you're done with that, it will kind of go back to like your normal. During pregnancy, you also get more lax because of that hormone called relaxin. But if none of those apply to you, it might just be that you're becoming more aware of your fingers. Sometimes with symptom tracking and with noticing things, as you become more aware of what is normal and not normal with your hands, even though I don't believe there's any such thing as normal, as you become more aware of how your hands are behaving, it might feel like your hands are getting more hypermobile, when really you're simply kind of just paying more attention to it, or noticing it more. Anyway, that is all that I had, friends. This was really fun. Thank you for being here. Nora said, yeah, do things that bring you joy. 100%. I feel like some of those things that we just talked about are things that are not talked about enough. Like, instead of getting thrown, I don't know, like pain medicine my way, which, I mean, pain medicine definitely like has its time and place 100%. It would be nice to just kind of be reminded sometimes more of this stuff, right? Of like trying to be more present, trying not to perseverate on your symptoms, like trying to do things for yourself and like literally take care of yourself. And as we start this journey, or as we're on this journey of healing, I truly don't think that we're ever done healing. I think it's just this continual process that we continue to work on, and kind of like get better at and tweak and then work towards a new goal. And so it's fun. It's fun to be here with you. So thank you for joining me. I hope you have a lovely, lovely, lovely rest of your Monday. Bye, friends.